Good afternoon and welcome to Premier League Live as Matchday 26 concludes this afternoon in our double header of Sunday action as Newcastle takes on Nottingham Forest, two sides battling for Champions League football next season, and Manchester City take on Liverpool a bit later on as Liverpool look to capitalise upon Arsenal's missed chance yesterday when they lost at home to West Ham United to go 11 points clear today. Liverpool, of course, Arsenal will have a game in hand if they do that. Manchester City, they can solidify their place in the top four if they win later on. That's our second billing of the day, but first we're in the northeast as Newcastle United take on Nottingham Forest. Two sides at this moment in time with realistic chances of European football next season. Forest in third and can really open the gap to those below them if they win today. A Newcastle side looking to get up towards the top four with 3 points this afternoon. Already this weekend, some incredible results yesterday, including that Arsenal defeat at home, their first home defeat of the season. Bournemouth beaten by Wolves, a big 3 points for Wolves in that relegation battle as well, and much needed 3 points for Tottenham, and Brighton back to winning ways as well. Manchester United, of course, and Everton seeing out a 2-2 draw. We'll recap all of the weekend's scores and what's to come over the next midweek fixtures to come a bit later on. But to this game at 2 o'clock, and let's have a look at the two teams then. Starting with the home side, Nick Pope comes back into goal for Eddie Howe's team. A back four of Tino Livramento, Fabian Schär, Dan Burn and Lewis Hall in defence. Bruno Guimaraes, the captain. Lewis Miley comes into midfield, with Sandro Tonali dropping to the bench, and Joe Willock alongside them in that midfield three. Jacob Murphy off the right, Anthony Gordon off the left, and leading the line is Alexander Isak, who hasn't scored in his last 4 Premier League games. On the bench for Newcastle, Dubravka, Trippier, Target, Kraft, Tonali, Barnes, Longstaff, Wilson and Osula. For high-flying Nottingham Forest, third place is where they are at the minute. They can close the gap to Arsenal to 3 points with a win today and open the gap to Manchester City to 6 points if they get the victory. In goal for them, Matt Sells, a back four of Ola Aina, Nikola Milenkovic, Murillo and Nico Williams. Nicholas Dominguez and Elliot Anderson are in defensive midfield with Morgan Gibbs-White, the captain, in the 10 role. On the right-hand side is Callum Hudson-Odoi, on the left Anthony Elanga, and through the middle their leading goal scorer and one of the most ruthless finishers in the Premier League this season, Chris Wood, leads the line. On the bench for Forest this afternoon is Hennessy, Morato, Moreno, Toffolo, Sangare, Yates, Sosa, Awonyi and Silva. It is Forest in third, Newcastle in 8th, but can jump up to 5th with a win. But Forest, they have Arsenal in their sights if they can get a victory today. Kickoff at St James's Park between Newcastle and Nottingham Forest is on the way next. Good afternoon and welcome to St James's Park for our first of 2 Premier League commentaries this afternoon here on LFS, and the big one a bit later on between Manchester City and Liverpool. The league leaders looking to consolidate that lead and make it 11 points with a win later on, but haven't won in quite a while at the Etihad Stadium. We'll talk about that a bit later, but of course our game is the focus in the northeast. Black and white of Newcastle, Forest in their away strip of light blue and white shorts. And considering their recent home form in the Premier League, Newcastle, they'll want to bounce back and bounce themselves up the table into 5th with a victory today. They can do that with Bournemouth and Chelsea missing chances to go further ahead in that top 5 race. Of course, it's very likely now that the 5th place in the Premier League will be enough for a Champions League spot next season. So 5th is the target. At the moment in time, it's Newcastle that seem to maybe have the best chance at it, and the inconsistencies of those around them. We're underway at St James's Park. Very interesting match-up between these two sides today, of course. 2 very good seasons for these two clubs, but defeats last weekend for both. Both will have that desire to bounce back and to get back to winning ways. Here's Anthony Gordon for Newcastle. Heavy touch there by Lewis Miley allows Forest to try and nip in and win it back, and they do as Aina goes long. Can't keep that one in play, Ola Aina. Well, there's no doubting that Nottingham Forest have been the massive surprise team this season for where they were last season in a relegation battle. I'm really trying to keep their place in the Premier League. They're now looking for a return to the Champions League this season. A realistic chance at that. They win today, they will go 6 points ahead of Manchester City, of course, before they play Liverpool a bit later, and 7 points ahead of 5th place Bournemouth, which means they are really in pole position to be one of the Champions League teams for next season, which for a Nottingham Forest side that have been all over the place in a sense over the last number of years and really struggling to keep themselves in the Premier League, just about staying in the league on the last few seasons, that would be a massive improvement, an astronomical improvement. But Newcastle have started the better here as Gordon down the left battling with Anthony Alanga coming back, and it will be a Newcastle corner. See it again. Lovely overlapping run of Lewis Hall, and Anthony Alanga's just across, tracking back, and does put it well. And it defends it well and puts it out for the corner to Newcastle United. It's good use of the overlap there from Lewis Hall. Right footed delivery from the corner. Flicked on round the back post. Couldn't keep it in. And Nottingham Forest get to clear it away now with Morgan Gibbs-White. His pass as well awkwardly hit towards Hudson-Odoi and recovered by Newcastle. It was a good corner. Really threatening, and then round the back post was Isak, and he couldn't direct it towards goal. Just directed it away and kind of stretching to reach the ball and just couldn't direct it towards the Nottingham Forest net. The first corner of the game certainly was a threat to the Forest defence. They have started the better of the two teams though, the home side. Maybe need to. As I said, with their home form, they lost their last 2 home games in the Premier League. Bournemouth and Fulham coming to this ground and putting 4 past Newcastle, did Bournemouth, and 2 Fulham last weekend. As the delivery there was deep and Sells couldn't catch it and palms it out for a corner. Again, it's a good break down that left hand side. Again, it's Willock this time. He just breaks past his man and tries to chip it round the back post. And as the ball drops, Sells really can't take it under control, and it just kind of slides out of his hands and goes behind for a Newcastle corner. Less than convincing goalkeeping there from Matt Seltz. Gordon to take this corner. Goes short. Back to Hall. Round the corner to Gordon again, who tries to chip it across, but far too deep. Goal kick. Well, Newcastle can kind of show a really good record against Nottingham Forest, home and away in the Premier League, having lost just once in their last 13 Premier League meetings. And that did come here at St James's Park last season. The away side in this fixture has won the last 4 meetings, and the last 3 occasions the away side has scored 3 goals in winning the game. The last home win was a Newcastle home win in August 2022. And they won 2-0 against Forest. A bit of a push in the face there from Elliot Anderson on Jacob Murphy. I'm just seeing there for a second. Kind of shoved them off the ball there. Oh, cheap giveaway here by Newcastle. And the shot from Hudson-Odoi finds the back of the net. A mistake from Newcastle, punished by Callum Hudson-Odoi. And Nottingham Forest take the lead. I think it's the man that's just been fouled by his former teammate Elliot Anderson and Jacob Murphy. And he gives the ball away. And Callum Hudson-Odoi spins away and takes the strike from distance. We'll see it again. It's from the throw-in. Yeah, it's Livramento. He throws it towards Murphy. Murphy tries to play it back. And as he does, Hudson-Odoi kind of blocks it. Finds himself in space and just decides to take the strike from distance. Good 24 yards out. Right into that far left corner. Lovely little curl away from the goalkeeper, Nick Pope, who had absolutely no chance. And that's really sloppy from Newcastle. They started the better of the two teams, but they concede first here at St James's Park. Newcastle 0, Nottingham Forest 1. It's just beautiful from Callum Hudson-Odoi. The quality of finish is just sensational. But again, it all comes from a really avoidable moment from Newcastle's point of view. You know, all these teams, they train throw-ins and tactics from throw-ins. All these set-piece coaches now, and even throw-in coaches now. And if Newcastle do have a throw-in coach, he'd be having his head in his hands as to how badly Newcastle dealt with that throw-in. Basically gifting Nottingham Forest a great goal-scoring opportunity. Take nothing away from the finish, though. Absolutely fantastic from Callum Hudson-Odoi. Gordon goes over there under a challenge from Aina. Wins a free kick. And to Callum Hudson-Odoi's 4th Premier League goal of the season. Scored in that 3-2 win over Southampton in January. That was his last goal before today. His only other away goal actually this season was in the 1-0 victory against Liverpool back in September. That's the only goal he scored away from home, by this one that he's scored today. Free kick for Newcastle, left hand side. Hall to whip it round the back post, and too far for Byrne. Cleared away. Oh, Murphy will win it back and try and make up for his earlier mistake, but the through ball goes all the way through, and Matt Sells will gather. As I said, it's just an avoidable goal from Newcastle's point of view, and when you've lost your last 2 home games, when you're not really clicking in form, when you were absolutely pasted by Manchester City last week, the last thing you need is to concede an early goal against a really good side in Nottingham Forest. Referee having a little bit of a tough game so far, Jared Gillett. A couple of sneaky little challenges flying in. See this one again. Dominguez and Guimaraes. Yeah, it's just shoulder to shoulder. There's really nothing much in it, if I'm honest. A bit soft. The ball fizzed into the box from the free kick. Falls down, and the deflection goes wide from Tino Liver, or Lewis Miley, sorry. Deflects off Murillo. See it again. Fizz delivery into the box. Nico Williams gets ahead to it as the ball falls down to Miley. Free in the box. As it comes down, he takes it on the volley. It's a good strike on it, but Murillo is there to block it behind for the corner. Didn't know very much about it, the Forest defender. Was in the right place at the right time. Corner for Newcastle. Hall to take. In swinger, left footed. Around the back post. Headed away by Wood. Bit of pressure here as Ball goes all the way back to Nick Pope. Chips one forward down the right side. Byrne trying to keep it in play and gets the throw in off Nico Williams. Guimaraes gives it back to Scher. To switch the ball, but intercepted by Gibbs-White, and a flick-on header brought down for Elanga, but the ball just evaded Anthony Elanga. Hall got in on cover and wins it back for Newcastle, who want to move quickly. Willock, infield to Miley. Looking for that switch ball, finds the ball out wide to Livramento. Lovely link-up. Willock again, trying to find Livramento again, but Nottingham Forest able to clear their lines quite convincingly. A little bit better from Newcastle. Murphy gives the ball away again as he tries to chop in field. And Elliot Anderson just looking to calm his team down as he wins the ball back. Murillo goes long. Looking for Hudson-Odoi. Well headed away, but brought down by Gibbs-White, who will recycle it back to his goalkeeper. Absolutely thunders one long. And Byrne does well to bring it down now for Guimaraes. Finding Gordon. Tight space. Plays the ball onto Miley. A bit of room now. Miley down the right hand side. Murphy across and just ahead of Joe Willock, who was arriving. Alexander Isak there too. It was better from Newcastle. It was essential that Anthony Gordon got that through ball, and he committed two bodies. Left the gaps in behind, left Miley space to try and thread that ball to Murphy. And as he curled it across, Isak was lurking. And a few other Newcastle players in the middle as well there. But a better response. So the referee not happy with how slow Nottingham Forest were taking that goal kick. Here's Aina. Flick on there from Elanga, too far ahead of his captain Gibbs-White as Byrne steps in. Now Willock on the move. Chopping in field, finding Miley. Miley now feeds it on to Murphy. Murphy looking for the cross, goes low this time, and Murillo got in the way. Not able to get it out of their own box at the minute, Forest. Milenkovic. And then headed away by Elliot Anderson, but only as far as Hall, who gets it to Gordon. Anthony Gordon spinning his way past Elanga, breaking into the box, blocked by Aina, who's brought down inadvertently there. It will be a free kick to Nottingham Forest, which Anthony Gordon has a few complaints about, saying that it was accidental, there was no real contact at all. See it again, he gets the ball and yeah, it's a stray leg from Anthony Gordon. There is contact. So good decision by the referee. It was a good interception by Ola Aina anyway. In a tight space. Had to make it count. If he got that challenge wrong, it could have went the other way. A clean challenge gets Nottingham Forest out of trouble again. That's a forced ball that time by Murphy, but given away by Murillo to Willock. Now Guimaraes. Livramento. Down the right hand side comes Murphy, trying to flick it on, but no one made the run. And Murillo can just recycle it back to his goalkeeper, who puts it straight out of play. I've got to be honest, despite Nottingham Forest leading, Newcastle has certainly still been the better team so far. And it looks like every time Nottingham Forest get the ball, it's like a hot potato contest. They just don't want to keep it. Every time the goalkeeper gets the ball, they're just trying to get rid of it as quickly as possible. It's just allowing Newcastle to have more of the possession. Maybe that's the game plan from Nottingham Forest, to set a bit deeper and allow Newcastle to have more of the ball. But at the same time, the chances they're creating, the opportunities they're getting in these early moments, they're getting into the right areas. And once it clicks, Newcastle will be a major threat. Williams trying to bypass the midfield, but gives it straight back to Newcastle again. Cher steps in. Miley finding Guimaraes. Out wide down to Hall. Goes down the left. Isak comes out to the left side up against Aina. Isak dribbling his way through. Chips it across. Well blocked by Milenkovic as it falls back to Guimaraes. Out wide to Murphy now on this left side. Gordon. Murphy trying to eke a little bit of space, and again tries that through ball down the left channel for Anthony Gordon, but that time well blocked off, and Forest usher it out for the goal kick. Again, they're getting into the right areas at the minute, Newcastle. It's just that final pass that has let them down so far. Certainly had a lot of possession, 78% of the ball so far in the first 16 minutes, so there's no doubting the fact that they're dominating the possession. But it is Nottingham Forest who lead. That's the crucial stat. Sells goes long again. Wood and Byrne get in a tussle. I've actually no idea who that came off last. The referee saying that it was Dan Burns, so it will be a Nottingham Forest throw down the left side. It's a good matchup, that. Dan Byrne and Chris Wood. Of course, Chris Wood formerly of this parish, as is Elliot Anderson as well in the Forest team. Both teams' centre forwards have had a good season in terms of their stats. In terms of goals, these two teams have two of the top 4 goal scorers in the Premier League this season. Chris Wood in 3rd on 18 goals, and Alexander Isak in 4th on 17 Premier League goals this season. Only Erling Haaland and Mo Salah have scored more goals than those two this season. It will be a proper golden boot race if Mo Salah really at this minute in time wasn't running away with it. 5 goals clear of Erling Haaland is Salah, and 24 at this stage of the season. Haaland on 19. In terms of touches in the opposition box, Newcastle have had 11 touches in Forest box. Forest haven't had a touch of the ball inside Newcastle's 18-yard box yet. And they lead, which shows how good their goal was. Ball across, that's a chance! Oh, and Gordon couldn't take it. That was really nice work from Newcastle. They kept it alive again. I'll tell you what happened in a minute, because here's Hall trying to cross it in. Milenkovic there to block it, and cleared away by Anthony Elanga. Wood couldn't get on the end of that one. If we get a replay, I'll tell you what happens. Anthony Gordon so close to levelling the game for Newcastle. As they come down the right hand side again, Murphy chops in field. Still going. Murphy gets a bit greedy, but he gets a bit lucky at the end though. The ball bounces back into his path and now finds Gordon. Hall. Gordon again. And Gordon trying to jink his way into the box, and the cross cleared away by Milenkovic. If we can get that throw, that replay of the big chance, here it is here. The ball down the right side. Murphy tracks the run of Livramento in behind on the underlap, and Livramento just squares it across the 6-yard box, and Gordon comes sliding in, and it's about like a yard or two ahead of Gordon as the ball fizzed across, and ever so close. He was an empty net. Sells would have had absolutely no chance at stopping that one. Now Forest on the move. Elanga riding a challenge, but not going to get the ball, as Hall did the crucial defending. And Newcastle get the ball back. 20 minutes gone. Newcastle 0, Forest 1. It's been practically all Newcastle, bar that one stray moment as they give the ball away again here. Morgan Gibbs White on the move, taken down but fairly by Alexander Isak there, tracking back for Newcastle. Gordon. Down the left-hand side it comes for Willock. Plays it on now. Gordon. Blocked by Dominguez, and that will be a throw into Newcastle down the left-hand side. But there's a lot of space in the transition for Newcastle. When they get the ball into those wide areas, that's where they look their most threatening. And so far they certainly have threatened. Holds throw in, and Gordon tried to flick it into the box, but he was taken out in the process by Ola Aina. And it's going to be a free kick to Newcastle. Maybe getting his revenge from that earlier challenge from Gordon. Yeah, that's dangerous, that, from Ola Aina. Gordon does really well at trying to get the ball away. But Ola Aina, his foot was high there. Almost caught Anthony Gordon clean. Around about the knee, and he's lucky that it didn't make contact, because that would have been a proper horrible challenge. Just a free kick given by the referee. 27 yards out for Newcastle. Hall and Gordon stand over it. Will be Lewis Hall round the back again, and the header across is too high to be headed in. And Willock will keep it alive though on this left side. Low cross into Miley. Lewis Miley, 1-1. Lewis Miley levels the game for Newcastle. They probably had their best chance in the box earlier in the game that was deflected wide. This time he takes it down, and a clean strike to the far right corner. And he gets the Newcastle equaliser that they've been pushing for since Nottingham Forest took the lead. The young 18-year-old finding the back of the nets. Again, it's a little bit of chaos caused really from the set piece. Nottingham Forest, can't really get themselves into shape again. And as the ball comes round the back post from the delivery, it's headed across goal. It's too high for anybody in the middle to get. But Willock does really well at recycling the ball back wide. And Hall, I don't know whether he meant to head it low or whatever, but the cross is really nice. Falls perfectly for Lewis Miley, takes the touch, sets up the shooting opportunity right through the legs of one of the Forest defenders, and past Matt Sells into that far right corner. Really nice strike. He actually went through the legs of two Forest players on the way through. There was a lot of them there. And Newcastle have their equaliser, 1-1. And now the chant of "He's one of our own" is sung around St James's Park in support of Lewis Miley and his goal. 18-year-old has been struggling with injuries and struggling with game time this season. This is his first Premier League start of the season, 7th appearance, and his first Premier League goal of the season for the young man. It's only his second ever Premier League goal. Got one last season and one this season. Here comes Callum Hudson-Odoi though. Forest want to respond quickly. Edge of the box, Hudson-Odoi not given the space to shoot this time. Will try and find one. The curling effort that time, well caught by Nick Pope, who distributes quickly. Hall. Gordon. Trying to find the overlap. Isak does well, rolls it back beautifully for Hall, and Newcastle a 4-on-2 here. Lewis Hall couldn't find the cross, but it will bobble in for 2-1. Jacob Murphy sees it over the line, and Forest were carved open there. And all Newcastle could do was watch the ball bobble into the net, and Murphy made sure of that. And in a matter of a couple of minutes, they turned this game on its head. And the man who gave the ball away for the Forest goal has his retribution and gives Newcastle United the lead. Again, it's really quick football down that left hand side. Fabulous little back heel from Alexander Isak finds Hall in space, and it just completely opens up the Nottingham Forest defence. And Hall's cross, initially blocked by Murillo, but it deflects off the right leg of Murillo, bounces across the box, and Jacob Murphy's there just to basically guide it into the net. Just kind of make sure that it crosses the line with any sort of body part that he could. I think it was his right thigh that he got that put the ball into the net. Nonetheless, it's a quick turnaround for Newcastle, and they now lead by 2-1. It's his 5th Premier League goal of the season for Jacob Murphy. Certainly making up for that earlier mistake. What has happened to Nottingham Forest? I said if it all clicks, Newcastle will be all over this Forest team, because even when they weren't finding the back of the net, even when they weren't getting shots off, they were getting into the right areas. It was just the final pass that was letting them down, but they were all over Nottingham Forest even after Forest had scored. They'd really struggled to keep possession at all today, the visitors, up to this point. And another game where Nottingham Forest have been topsy-turvy in 2025 in the Premier League. Again, Newcastle want to capitalise upon this little shaky spell from Forest. The Sells goes with a weird kick, and it bounces down the right hand side, and it's out for a Newcastle throw. Of course, losing away to Fulham last week, losing away to Bournemouth 5-0 a few weeks earlier. Forest's away form hasn't been that great as of recent. 4 wins and 4 defeats in the last 8 away games for Nottingham Forest. Hall trying to find the cross, blocked by Aina, calls a handball. Referee sees no issue, but of course VAR will have a look. And they are checking now. And VAR, Peter Banks having a look. If I have to be honest, his arm's out of his body. You see it again. Hall tries to get the ball in, and Aina kind of jumps in the air, but as he does, his 2 arms are raised, and his right arm is away from his body. It hits just above his elbow on his right arm. I think that's handball. It's very strange from Ola Aina to do that, and Peter Banks now has a decision to make, the VAR, and we'll relay that information to Jared Gillett, the referee. And we have a VAR check for a possible penalty here for Newcastle. If I'm honest, I've seen them given. It just looks like it's not deliberate in any sense, but his arm is away from his body, and it's in an unnatural position, as they would say, and the decision is going to be that the referee's going to go to the screen. So usually when we see this happen, the referee is called to the monitor for a review. The initial decision is usually overturned. We will see what Jared Gillett has to say then on this one. Just see it again. I mean, Hall trying to get the ball into the box. It's a good cross, but or a good attempt of a cross anyway. And yet Ola Aina just kind of turning away from the ball, but as he jumps, his arms kind of lift into the air and move away from his body. His arm's just in the way. I mean, it looks pretty simple. I think the referee has a pretty easy decision here, in my opinion anyway. He's having a good few looks out of it just to make sure that he's got the full context of the situation. Jared Gillett. But from what I can gather, gotta be honest, I would say penalty, but they're still checking. Referee is still at the screen having a look at this from different angles. I mean, it's taking this long. Surely there's no doubt. And the decision is a penalty. It took him a while, but the referee does point to the spot. And it could be an absolute collapse of Nottingham Forest here in the last 5-10 minutes. And now Ola Aina giving away a penalty. It's definitely a penalty. There's no question of it, in my opinion. Nuno Espirito Santo, the Forest head coach, maybe not happy. And he can't really argue with the decision. His player's arm is away from his body, and it is in an unnatural position in the air, so, and it did make contact with the ball. Which to me sounds like handball. Penalty for Newcastle then. Alexander Isak hasn't scored in his last 4 Premier League games. His last goal was away at Southampton. And he scored a brace in that game. Last goal at home was against Wolves in the 3-0 victory on the 15th of January. Isak with a chance to give Newcastle a real cushion in this first half. Isak! Oh! That's an incredible penalty. Goes right down the middle, but puts far too much height on it. And the goalkeeper can do very little to keep it out. That is pure confidence from Alexander Isak. A backbreaker for Matt Seltz, who tried to reach for it, couldn't keep it out. And Newcastle United have a third and a 2-goal cushion. He goes for the Panenka. And the goalkeeper kind of, as he goes to dive, he dips, kind of ducks out of the way. And the ball, there's just too much height on it. He can't get up in time. He gets a hand to it, Matt Sells, but the height of the strike is just far too good. That's just incredible. If you're a goalkeeper, you would be absolutely embarrassed by that one. Alexander Isak has had Matt Sells' pants down with that penalty kick. And it's now 3-1. What a turnaround from Newcastle United in this first half. Where have Nottingham Forest gone? They have completely disappeared and evaporated away in this first half. And Newcastle are throwing punch after punch after punch. And at the minute, they're all landing. Well, that was an awkward one into the box that time, but Nick Pope came and commanded his area. They don't want to have to be finished here so far because they're on the move again. Willock to find Isak on the deflection, takes it in. This is unbelievable. Newcastle United embarrassing Nottingham Forest. Just like Bournemouth did a number of weeks ago. Newcastle, everything they hit turns to goals. And they have their fourth. Less than a minute or so after they had their third, and Isak on the double. Again, it's on the counter-attack. Nick Pope down that left-hand side finds Hall, and Hall, lots of space. It's really smart from Newcastle because Gordon drags the fullback inside, which leaves a gaping hole down the left-hand side for Joe Willock to burst into. And as he breaks away from his man, just rolls it in behind for Isak, and Isak gets a bit of luck with his strike taking a deflection. But that's perfect counter-attacking football from Newcastle. It's unlucky from Nottingham Forest, but my God, they have absolutely been embarrassed in these last couple of minutes. And no sooner was it 3 than it was 4. And this game could really get massively embarrassing for Nottingham Forest now. Newcastle 4, Nottingham Forest 1. And we haven't even played 40 minutes yet. 35 minutes gone. We're averaging a goal every 7 minutes at the minute. Here come Nottingham Forest, but that was well blocked from Dominguez. And again, the counter is on, and Isak has lots of space. And it just gets back in time to retrieve the ball. This has been an absolute collapse of the ages from Nottingham Forest. To believe they'd taken the lead in this game, they were 1-0 up against the run of play early on. It was their only real attack and move of the game so far, and once Newcastle had won, it just opened the floodgates, and Isak, who hadn't scored in his last 4 games, has now 2 in 2 minutes. And he is now in that top list in terms of 7th quickest to 50 goals in Premier League history. 76 appearances to get to 50 goals. That is what you call a ruthless striker. What is Nuno Espirito Santo thinking? His side were 1-0 up, 15 minutes ago. And now, with less than 7-8 minutes of the first half to go, they're looking down the barrel of probably a massively embarrassing defeat on the road. Lewis Hall back to his feet there. He was down with a bit of an issue. Was getting a bit of treatment, was the Newcastle left back, but he's back to his feet and looks to be okay to continue. He's just running, kind of trying to jog off that little issue. It seems like when Nottingham Forest do lose, they seem to lose quite convincingly, especially away from home. 3 of their last 4 away defeats have actually been by more than 3 or more goal margin. They lost 3-0 to Arsenal, 3-0 to City, 5-0 to Bournemouth. Of course, that Fulham result was a narrow one, but probably could have been more for Fulham on that day. Probably should have been more for Fulham, but just a 2-1 victory. Seems to be the way with Nottingham Forest recently. When they lose, they certainly let you know that they lose and tell you that there was really no parity. Miley trying to roam free, and Willock trying to break past his man, and Gordon was almost there past Murillo, who got the ball away from danger just in the nick of time. But they're clinging on here at the minute, Nottingham Forest. I don't know what they're clinging on to, but they're all over the place at the back. Newcastle are just having their way with them at the minute. Hall with a cross, well blocked. It will be deflected out for the corner to Newcastle. Will be their 4th corner of the game for the home side, and that's probably been the part of the game where they've looked least threatening against Nottingham Forest so far, is on set pieces. Here comes this corner, left-hand side. Right-footed, deep to the back post, punched away by Sells. Forest won a counter, but Gibbs White was blocked there well by Jacob Murphy, and the ball had run out of play off Elliot Anderson for a Newcastle throw. Scher trying for the switch ball, got a bit trigger happy there, Fabian Scher, as he gives it away. It's Dominguez. Spins away from one challenge, just escapes another. Oh, Milenkovic miscuing that one. Luckily Isak wasn't in the area, otherwise it would have been a trouble. A switch ball from Murillo straight out of play. They can't string 2 or 3 passes together at the minute, Nottingham Forest. Really all over the place, both in and out of possession. just been really poor. They've had no desire to keep the ball today, and they're getting duly punished for that. Here's Livramento down the right side. Again, Murphy has space, wants to whip one. Doesn't get the curl or the whip on it that he would want, and it ends up flying behind for a goal kick. But we look and talk about this first half so far. It's just been complete madness in the fact that Nottingham Forest have collapsed in the way that they have. But I did say it when they were 1-0 up. I would say that even though that they were 1-0 up, Newcastle were still the better team, and they were playing the better football, and they were all over them. And as I said, once it clicked, it will be a problem for Forest, because Newcastle have such good players in the final third that they will carve them open. They will find ways to get past them, and they have in this first half. No doubt about it. On the move again. They're hungry for more at the minute, Newcastle. Murphy down the right side. Livramento plays it back to Murphy as Burns steps in past Chris Wood. He was ready to commit into a challenge there as Miley just strides back into his own half and consolidates the possession for the minute. Well, don't forget what a warm-up game we have here this afternoon that we're watching ahead of our big game a bit later on at 4:30 in our doubleheader. Manchester City take on Liverpool at the Etihad. 4:30 this afternoon as Liverpool look to capitalise upon the missed chance from Arsenal yesterday and go 11 points clear at the top of the Premier League table. Liverpool a bit later on with a win against City. We will see. So far in this first half, there's been no doubt as to which team has been on top. Scoreline certainly not flattering Newcastle at the minute. It's fairly representing what way this game's gone. And now, in the Premier League standings, actually, I was talking about two of our top 4 goal scorers from the Premier League. Well, Alexander Isak is now joint second in the Premier League top goal scorer rankings. That's scored his 18th from the penalty and his 19th with a deflected effort that bounced over the goalkeeper. So he's now level on goals with Erling Haaland, in joint second in the Golden Boot race at the minute. It's Gordon on the press, forces Sells into a long kick as he does get it away, the Forest goalkeeper. Again, Forest just can't keep the possession at the minute. So Alexander Isak getting himself up in the standings of top goal scorer, up into joint second now. Lovely little chip ball into Guimaraes. Out wide it goes to Hall. Steps in field. Does Lewis Hall. Now Miley. Guimaraes has 2 in his wake and couldn't keep the ball that time, but Forest gift the ball back to Newcastle again. Here's Isak gone wide. Isak now trying to whip one in, but the only player that was in there was Livramento, and that can be cleared away by Callum Hudson-Odoi. Feels like such a long time ago that Nottingham Forest took the lead. Quite incredible the fact that that was the case at one point in this game. Oh, lovely little bit of skill as Willock plays the ball on to Gordon. Gordon in the box. Anthony Gordon across in the first time touch from Murphy, taken away. Gordon again. Another handball call from Newcastle as the Forest keeper had the ball. I think that one will go unpunished. We'll have to wait and see what VAR have to say, but they're playing on at the minute. Hudson-Odoi. Infield to Anderson, and now across to Gibbs-White. Down the right hand side comes Elanga, bursting past his man. Elanga across, and Pope's save was parried behind for the corner. And I can tell you VAR have had a look at that handball call. And that one's certainly not handballs. Down by his side, that from Milenkovic. Certainly not handball. No penalty is the decision. 7 added minutes at the end of the first half. I think a lot of that came from the fact that a VAR check for the Newcastle penalty took quite a while. Forest have the corner. Looping into the box. Wood got on the end of it to follow up. Blocked in the box and bouncing out for another corner, I believe. But Isak's gone down in the box, which might be a little bit of a worry. We'll see this again. The ball delivered in, looping. Wood heads it across goal. And as it bounces down, Gibbs White has the shot. It deflects off Isak. Just catches him kind of on his hip there and deflects out for the corner. Back to his feet. Another corner whipped in from Forest. Round the back again. Well, better dealt with this time by Newcastle as Milenkovic came clattering in there and gives away the free kick and gets a yellow card for his troubles. The Nottingham Forest centre back. The first of the game, by the way. Yeah, absolutely came crashing in on Guimaraes there. It's taking no prisoners that time. Nikola Milenkovic, his 3rd yellow card of the season. And the first yellow card of the afternoon in this game. Well, now Alexander Isak, in his last game where he scored 2, he became out and out Newcastle's 2nd top goal scorer in the Premier League history. Of course, only Alan Shearer has scored more. Alan Shearer is the only one that has over 100 goals in the Premier League era for Newcastle. That was, of course, the 49th and the 50th for Alexander Isak he scored today. So he's halfway to a century at this football club. Still a lot of the season to go to add to that tally. Oh, Sells gets it away in time. Again, Newcastle, such hunger to win the ball back, and Forest just have no response in dealing with the press. Oh, that's a cheap giveaway by Pope this time. Another, maybe have a gift for Forest. Hudson-Odoi played it across to Gibbs White, who struck it right at Nick Pope. Again, Nick Pope gives it away. Good, well won back by Gibbs White, and Hudson-Odoi squares it back across to his captain on the edge of the D. Hits the strike, but this time straight at the Newcastle goalkeeper. Another little sloppy mistake at the back there from Newcastle. Could have cost them once again, but that time they got away with it. That's lovely work down that right hand side. Oh, that ball from Guimaraes is given away cheaply, but Forest have an affinity of giving the ball away again, as it's Isak down the left hand side up against Aina, 1-on-1, but Aina wins that battle that time. The little head start gets the ball away and cleared, and now Elanga has space to break down the right hand side, but end to end the half here. Elanga trying to thread it through, but massively overhit that pass in the Woods path, and it goes all the way through to Nick Pope in the Newcastle goal. Isak again making the run in behind here from Pope's long kick. Isak breaking into the box, trying to cut it across. Gordon was well blocked off by Dominguez, and the clearance from Milenkovic. Elanga tried to keep the possession but gives it away cheaply to Willock, who's still going here. Joe Willock cuts it back to Isak, who has another shot, that time blocked by Milenkovic, and that time over the bar for a corner. Again, it's just cannot keep the ball at all in this first half. Nottingham Forest, they're losing their 50-50 one-on-one duels time and time again. They give away another corner here on this left hand side. 2 minutes of the first half to go of the 7 added that we've had. 2 of those still to play. Another Newcastle corner on the left side. Looping one round the back. Sale's got a hand to it, and he's going to get the free kick there, the Forest goalkeeper. Maybe a bit fortunate that time, but he got the free kick. It's not convincing goalkeeping at all either from Matt Sells. Just kind of flaps at the ball. It's a bit lucky that the referee shows a bit of leniency there on him, but if I was the referee, I wouldn't. It's Newcastle in behind again. Well blocked that time. In the end, by Murillo that time it was. And Nico Williams wins Forest the throw. Last minute of the half. And I wouldn't say Nottingham Forest would be happy going in with this scoreline. They certainly wouldn't, of course, but considering they haven't conceded a goal in, what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I think they would be pretty happy that it hasn't got any worse. Because after 34 minutes, it was 4-1, and you were kind of thinking this could get really bad. This could be racking up the goals today from Newcastle's point of view. Getting right up to 6s and 7s. Maybe more, but it'll be reasonably eased their worries, the fact that they might be going in half-time with no further damage done. And there's no doubting the fact they have absolutely collapsed in this first half, Nottingham Forest, and it's going to take a mini miracle if they're going to get back anywhere near into this game. Because there's the half-time whistle from the referee. A 52-minute first half that was jam-packed full of goals, 5 in total, but 4 coming unanswered from Newcastle's point of view. They find themselves 1-0 down inside 6 minutes when Callum Hudson-Odoi found the net for Forest, but 4 unanswered goals from Miley, Murphy and 2 Isak goals has Newcastle really comfortable in this first half. It's Newcastle 4, Nottingham Forest 1 at the break. Welcome back to Premier League Live. Half-time at St James's Park. It's Newcastle 4, Nottingham Forest 0 at the break. And Eddie Howe's team certainly showing some comeback in that first half, from 1-0 down inside 6 minutes to now trailing by scoring 4 goals unanswered and leading by 4 goals to 1. As the half-time interval emerges. Right, that is game 9 of the weekend. We've one more to come a bit later on, but already 8 games we've seen this weekend, 1 on Friday night and 7 games yesterday. Let's have a quick recap as to what's happened on Matchday 26 so far. Incredible match day 26 so far. That result of the weekend, surely at this moment in time, would be Arsenal's failure to beat West Ham at home and losing at home for the first time this season. We'll talk about that in a moment as we run through all of the 8 results that we've seen already this weekend in the Premier League, starting on Friday night when relegation battlers Leicester needed something after their incredibly bad home form. They went 5 games in a row without scoring and losing those 5 games. They made that to 6. 6 games, 6 defeats in a row at home without scoring, and they were absolutely done in by Brentford by 4-0. Johan Visser, Brennan Bomo and Christian Norgard had them 3 up after 32 minutes, and then that late goal in the second half by Fabio Carvalho to make it 4-0 to Brentford, an absolute thumping of one of the relegation battlers. All 3 of the teams in the relegation zone this weekend conceded 4 goals at home, which pretty much proves their level at this minute in time. Right, so Brentford at 4-0 winners at the weekend on Friday night. Let's talk about yesterday. Yesterday lunchtime, Everton looked to be getting a big 3 points at home against David Moyes' former team in Manchester United. They were 2-0 up in the first half. Beto and Abdoulaye Doucouré gave Everton a 2-goal lead inside 33 minutes. But 2 incredible, in terms of quality goals from Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes got one back and Manuel Ugarte got the leveller for 2-2. They also had a penalty in the last few minutes, Everton, that was ruled out by VAR. It was given on the field, but VAR overturned the decision and cancelled that penalty call for Ashley Young going down. In my opinion, it wasn't a penalty. It looked a bit soft as Ashley Young went down, a bit theatrical, shall we say. And Bruno Fernandes had a chance to win it as well, but it finished 2-2 at a level of where Manchester United are. That's a good result away from home for them. The big result, as I said, of the weekend is Arsenal failing to pick up any points at home against West Ham. Their title race collapsed last season when they lost at home to a team they were expected to beat, and this season, once again, it seems to be happening. West Ham United, Jared Bowen with the only goal of that game at the Emirates yesterday, sealing the deal for the Hammers. It went from bad to worse for Arsenal in that game. They were 1-0 down, and also went down to 10 men. Miles Lewis-Skelly initially given a yellow card by the referee, but VAR intervened and upgraded that to a red card, a straight red card for Miles Lewis-Skelly for a professional foul on the last man. So a red card for him, and more troubles for Arsenal in there looking to chase Liverpool down, but there's very little chasing going on at this minute in time from Arsenal. It finished 1-0 to West Ham. We'll talk about in depth what that means for the title race a bit later on when we watch Liverpool play. For now, another top team beaten at home by a 1-0 against a relegation battler this time. Wolves got a massive win on the road on the south coast as they went to Bournemouth and picked up all 3 points. It was a red card for Ilya Zabarnyi inside 30 minutes. That was another VAR intervention, initially given a yellow, upgraded to a red for Zabarnyi for a foul. And then just minutes later, you know who it was that scored for Wolves. It always is him, Matej Cunha, with the goal in the first half, sealing the deal ultimately for Wolves and getting them a much-needed 3 points to open the gap between them and the bottom 3. It was Crystal Palace that claimed victory against Fulham in a London derby. Joachim Andersen with an own goal in the first half and Daniel Munoz with the second added a big 3 points for Oliver Glasner's Crystal Palace as they chase mid-table football. Fulham topsy-turvy at the moment, beat Forest one week, lose to Crystal Palace the next. It is where their level is at the moment, Fulham, and they lost 2-0 at home yesterday. Tottenham, much needed win for them, and they were 2-0 up in that game early on. Brennan Johnson on the double, both set up by Heung-min Son in the first 26 minutes. Ipswich had one back, but it was their only goal of the afternoon as Amari Hutchinson scored just before half-time. But 2 goals in the second half from Spurs sealed the deal. Jed Spence and Dejan Kulusevski made it a comfortable day in the end for Tottenham and 4-1 victors on the road at Portman Road. Another relegation battler beaten by 4 at home. This time it's Brighton back to winning ways as they beat Southampton by 4-0. João Pedro, Jorginho Ruter, Kaoru Mitoma and Jack Hinshelwood with the 4 goals for Brighton to seal the deal and give them a big 3 points to go above Fulham in the table and give themselves a little bit of breathing space in the top half of the table. A massive victory for Brighton and probably a much needed one with their up and down form as of recently, but those big wins getting them on the move. And that comeback victory for Aston Villa last night. Chelsea had the chance to really take a charge to Manchester City ahead of today's game for Manchester City. They had the chance to go above them last night and into the top 4. They were looking like they were going to do that up until late in the game. They were 1-0 up in the game. Enzo Fernandez, as he has done on his last 3 occasions away at Aston Villa, had to find the back of the net, but it was to be the only goal for Chelsea in the game. A second half comeback from Aston Villa and a ruthless duo of Marcus Rashford and Marco Asensio. 2 loan signings for Aston Villa, and both making a big impact. The equaliser and the winning goal, both set up by Rashford and both finished by Marco Asensio. Some big signings for Villa, making some big impacts in that game. And Villa, big 3 points for them as they keep their chase for European football, and still a chase for back-to-back Champions League campaigns is still not adrift for Villa. They're only 2 points off the top 4 at the minute. It's a very congested top 8 in the Premier League at this minute in time. Very congested for that chase for top 4, or top 5 could be enough this season with the way the coefficients are going for English clubs in Europe. We will see. And of course, half time here at St James's Park. It's Newcastle 4, Nottingham Forest 1. So that's the weekend we've seen so far. Let's have a look then. Let's recap that first half for the next minute or two before the second half gets underway. And really, as I said, in that first half, it's a first half where the floodgates have just opened, basically. Nottingham Forest, can you believe, took the lead. It's been a long time. It felt like a long time since that happened. After just 6 minutes, Callum Hudson-Odoi with a nice strike from the outside of the box, giving Forest the lead. But then, once Newcastle, even when they went behind Newcastle, they started the better team, and either side of the goal, they were the better side. Even when they were 1-0 down, Newcastle were dominating. They were throwing themselves at Forest because they were such the better side. They were dominating the game. The only thing that wasn't clicking for them was in the final third. And once it did click, once Lewis Smiley got that equaliser, as I said, the floodgates opened. Between the 23rd minute and the 34th minute, Newcastle scored 4 goals in 11 minutes. That was around about a goal every 2 minutes and 50 seconds or something like that. Crazy. Like, they absolutely pummeled their way through Forest in that first half after they found the equaliser. Miley with the equaliser. Murphy then made up for his earlier mistake, giving the ball away for the Forest goal to make it 2-1. And then back-to-back goals from Isak in the matter of 2 minutes. The 33rd and the 34th minute goals for Alexander Isak, which has him now as the joint second top goal scorer in the Premier League. Only Mo Salah, the leading goal scorer in the league, has scored more goals than Alexander Isak this season. An incredible first half for Newcastle. An absolute collapse from Nottingham Forest, who were barely in the game even when they were leading. And now all they need to do really in the second half for us is make sure it doesn't get any worse and doesn't really get massively embarrassing. You can lose a game of football, but if they start conceding a 5th or a 6th or a 7th, then it really will be headline making after they lost 5-0 to Bournemouth a few weeks ago away from home. And they are, when they lose, they certainly lose big at the minute, Nottingham Forest. That is the case. Right, half time, 4-1 to Newcastle. Second half is on the way next. Do stay with us. Welcome back to Premier League Live. The second half at St James's Park is on the way in just a moment. But don't forget, our second game of the day and our double-header of Sunday action here on LFS sees Manchester City take on Liverpool as Liverpool look to dethrone City of the Premier League title this season, as they did 5 years ago. For Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp. Arne Slot in his first season, if they can win today, Liverpool would go 11 points clear with 11 games for Liverpool to play. We will see. That's at 4:30 this afternoon. We'll have team news from that one very shortly, so do stay tuned to hear about that. But don't go away just yet for that game, because we have a big second half to come here at St James's Park, and to wonder, what way will both of these two teams respond? Forest 4-1 down in this game, and they got to be incredibly careful that they do not concede more that would be acceptable. 4-1 is probably on the verge of being kind of between respectable and embarrassing, really, if they concede too many more. Newcastle, the wind in their sails, and they're certainly flying high in this first half, but the big second half to come to see what we can get out of these two teams. As we're back underway then here at St James's Park. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already. That'll be greatly appreciated, and we thank each and every one of you who are joining us this afternoon. It's always great to have your company on these Sunday afternoons, these big Premier League matches, as we get towards the business end of the season. These results matter more. They may be worth the same number of points as they were in the earlier part of the season, but as the table shapes up and the ambitions and the objectives of all these teams take shape, 3 points means so much more mentally at this point of the season, and losing by such a major margin would be a real kick in the teeth at this point of the campaign, when you're looking to charge towards Champions League football for the first time in many decades for Nottingham Forest. Eddie Howe's team have lost 3 of their past 4 top flight matches, more than in their previous 12 combined. They last lost more than 2 league games in a row in December and January of last season. Of course, that looks unlikely to change here this afternoon, unless Forest have a killer second half and Newcastle collapse like Forest did in that first 45. It's Morgan Gibbs-White trying to squeeze his way through 2 Newcastle bodies to get to the ball, and ends up seeing Gordon on the floor, which gets Newcastle a free kick. Gordon. Cross now to Miley, who has space to break free here. Down the right hand side it comes to Livramento. Nice 1-2. Murphy. Miley. Gets away from Nico Williams, does Lewis Miley, and keeps the possession. It's really good football from Newcastle. Murphy down the right hand side. Ticks on his man, skips past Williams, gets the ball in the box, and Murillo has to head behind for a corner. Starting the second half as they ended the first at the minute, Newcastle. An early corner to reignite them and get them going again. Long ball into the box, headed on of the crossbar and put behind by Ola Aina on the rebound. Fabian Scher with a chance. Left-footed delivery from the corner, whipping. It's an in-swinger and it actually works really well for Fabian Scher on the loop, and he just heads it right off the upright. Looked like it came off the bar, just came off the kind of intersection between the bar and the post, right in that top left quadrant. That will be another corner for Newcastle United, ever so close to a fifth there. Gordon to take this on the left side, right-footed delivery, another whip one, headed away at the front post by Gibbs-White, not very far as Wood couldn't get it fully cleared. Newcastle again causing trouble in and around the box. Miley well dispossessed, and Forest won a counter, not going to get the chance to do that as Newcastle recover the possession. Gordon, lovely, beats past his man in Dominguez. Gordon in the box, tries to square it across, blocked by Aina. Still alive for Gordon though. Gives it back to Lewis Hall. Now back to Gordon, infield. Reverses one into the path of Isak, lays it off for Guimaraes, can't get the shooting chance. And as they try and break away, Nottingham Forest, brought down there was Elliot Anderson. Free kick. Again, more opportunities for Newcastle United. Well, today Newcastle can register their biggest home win of the season. They've already equalled the goals they've scored in their biggest win of the season here. 4-0 victory over Leicester on the 14th of December. They score a fifth. It'll be the first time this season they've scored 5 goals at home in the Premier League. And the first time they've scored 5 at home since they beat Sheffield United 5-1 here in April of last year. Quite interestingly, from Newcastle's point of view, 3 of their last 5 home games last season ended with them scoring 4 or more goals. Beating West Ham 4-3, Tottenham 4-0 and Sheffield United 5-1. The only other 2 results that didn't go that way were 1-1 draws against Brighton and Everton here. So when they score big, they certainly make it a habit of it, really, it seems, especially at home. Once they get into rhythm at St James's Park, they are very hard to get out of. As Anderson there brings down one of his former teammates and gets a yellow card for his troubles. Yeah, Joe Willock was the one that he challenged, quite cynically, really. Elliot Anderson gets himself a yellow card. His 6th yellow card of the season. Well, the last time these two met, Newcastle claimed victory in the 3-1 at the City Ground earlier in the season. It was Murillo that gave Forest the lead, and in the second half it was a comeback. Isak, Joelinton and Barnes with the 3 goals for Newcastle to win 3-1 on that day. And still, to this point, it's only one of 2 home defeats that Nottingham Forest have suffered this season. The only other home defeat they suffered was at home to Fulham when they lost 1-0 back in September. Hudson-Odoi finds Williams. Edge of the box. Cuts it back to Hudson-Odoi. Switches across now to Aina. Anderson. Threads it through. Finds Gibbs-White to the back post. Header across. Oh, and it's sent over the bar. From point blank range from Anthony Elanga. All he had to do was see it in. The best thing Forest have done practically since they scored their their goal. Fabulous through ball down the right side. Gibbs-White round the back post, headed across by Williams, and all Elanga needs to do is guide it in. And he goes stretching up with his right leg and sees it fly high over the bar. That was a big moment. Albeit they're still 4-1 down, and even if they had scored, it was still a big comeback to try and conjure up, but you never know. Anything can happen. Stranger things have happened in the Premier League. There's Gibbs-White trying to battle here to win the ball. That was really well measured by Livramento that time. Well, Miley getting a bit cute in the box, gets away from trouble. Just about. Oh, Forest throwing challenges in. There's a bit of a collision here between Livramento, and I'm trying to see who the other guy is from a Forest point of view. I think it might have been... Who was that? Yeah, it's Dominguez. See the collision again. I think Livramento's got himself a yellow card as well here. Yeah, they kind of just collide, and it's a bit inadvertent. Dominguez certainly gets to the ball quicker than Tino Livramento. And that's the first yellow card of the season for the Newcastle right back. Free kick for Nottingham Forest. Left hand side. It'll be Morgan Gibbs-White who will stand over it along with Anderson. Gibbs-White goes short, out wide to Elanga, who crosses in over the head of Wood. And out the other side for a throw. Another close opportunity. Aina rolls it back to Hudson-Odoi. It's better from Nottingham Forest, sorry. Little bit more intensity about the way they're playing, and they're getting forward a bit quicker. A bit more movement. Just not able to find that crucial moment. They get the next goal. Anything can still happen, although it will still be massively in Newcastle's hands, but you never actually know. I'm going to tell you about that game at 4:30 in a minute. We have team news in from that one at the Etihad between Man City and Liverpool. We'll tell you about that in a second. Given away there by Gordon. Now Williams on the break. Finding Elanga on this left-hand side. Trying to return the ball to Nico Williams. Gets the cut back. Can't find a teammate. Ball bounces back to Elanga. His cross is headed away by Fabian Schär. A little bit awkward that from Newcastle defensively. Forest pushing more for that second goal. Got a chance at maybe trying to find a comeback. Gibbs-White with it. Deflected one. And that was well defended by Schär as he got it back to Nick Pope. So, team news from the Etihad then. For Manchester City in goal, Edison, Lewis, Kosanov, Ake and Vardiol in defence. De Bruyne, Gonzalez and Foden in midfield. Savinho, Doku and Marmoush in attack. Erling Haaland is not involved no Erling Haaland for Manchester City. For Liverpool, Alisson in goal, Alexander-Arnold, Konate, Van Dijk and Robertson in defence, Gravenberch, McAllister and Szoboszlai in midfield, Salah, Jones and Diaz in attack for Liverpool. So no real out-and-out centre-forwards for either team today, for City or Liverpool, but the big news, no Erling Haaland for Manchester City. But for Liverpool, big news that Cody Gakpo is fit enough to make the bench. And we'll have a bit more to talk about in that game in about an hour's time when they get ready to get underway at the Etihad. City-Liverpool is at 4:30. Cheap giveaway there by Byrne as Aina steps in. Now Gibbs White. Looking a bit nervous in this second half so far, Newcastle. Not that they need to be, but just need to be... just manage the game a little bit better than what they have so far. In this second half, Forest have certainly had a go. And they're continuing to have a go. They've got nothing to lose anyway, Nottingham Forest. Murillo. Williams to Anderson. Back to Murillo again. Crosses in. Gives White with a flick. Again, couldn't find a teammate. As Newcastle try and get it away, but it's with Livramento who's pressed into a tight area. And the long clearance retrieved by Forest again. Dominguez, tries the through ball. Wrong option. Not on the same page as Anthony Elanga there. Nicolas Dominguez. Goal kick. One thing Newcastle can't be in this second half is complacent. They can't settle. I think we're 4-1 up. We're comfortable and we're just going to drop our levels a little bit. Again, a forced ball through the middle. Going absolutely nowhere. And Forest able to intercept. Hudson-Odoi now. Down the right side. Up against Hall. Does flick the ball back to Anderson. Infield now to Dominguez. Elanga back to Dominguez. Gives it out wide now to Williams. Nico Williams, right-footed. Whips one in. And Anderson was there, but Nick Pope got there first to catch the ball. And settled Newcastle once again. Set them on their way. Again, just better from Nottingham Forest. Settled so much better in the second half and got more of the ball and looked more comfortable on the ball in this second half so far, Nottingham Forest. So get the free kick there off Lewis Miley. Elliot Anderson fouled again. Yeah, he stretches for the ball, he misses the ball, he doesn't really get much of the man. He's just a bit clumsy, nothing more. On Lewis Miley, just a free kick. Nico Williams looking for the switch ball here for Nottingham Forest. Couldn't find Hudson-Odoi, but an awkward header from Hall. Might put him under pressure. Gordon, back to Byrne. Forest on the press. That was good pressure by Hudson-Odoi, but Hall got it worked out for a goal kick. To Newcastle. Well, we really haven't had time to talk about Nottingham Forest top players as they win the ball back here in the final third. Anderson, shot charged down. Get another chance here. Williams. Now Gibbs White. Feeds it wide now. Hudson-Odoi. Aina on the overlap. Blocked by Hall. Will be a Forest corner. Again, another little sloppy move from Newcastle, and Forest able to pounce and win the ball back. Resting on their laurels a little bit here are Newcastle. They need to be very careful that they don't get caught napping here. Elliot Anderson to take this corner. Right footed. Flicked onto the front post. Back post. Wood flicks it across and it's backheeled in by Nikola Milenkovic. And I said they have to be careful. Resting on their laurels. And exactly what Nottingham Forest would have wanted to do at the start of this second half is at least get a goal back to try and make Newcastle a little bit nervous. Lovely little play. Again, the header flicked on, round the back. Wood plays it across, and Milenkovic adjusting, stretching, backheels it into the net. Little flick off the right boot. And Nottingham Forest have a goal back. Newcastle 4, Nottingham Forest 2. Is it game on? I think we might still have to wait to find out if it's game on here or not. 4-2. Something's just not right about Newcastle at the minute. Oh, they've given it away again. Here's Hudson-Odoi. Brought down. But a good challenge by Dan Byrne. Corner. Goodness me. Pope to Byrne. And Byrne tries to get a little bit of skill again. Far too lackadaisical on the ball. Chris Wood's there to link it up with Hudson-Odoi. And Byrne had to make up for his mistake with that good challenge. There will be another Forest corner. They really have been all over the place in the second half, Newcastle. The corner's headed away from danger, but Nico Williams will recover. We'll try and send one flying into the box. Anderson brings it down on the edge. Goes down. Referee will play advantage though for the second. Anderson. Hudson-Odoi. Infield he comes. Couldn't feed it through to Newcastle players. Again, they just can't get it away, Newcastle, at all at this minute in time. As Dominguez whips one forward, but was always going nowhere near a teammate, although the referee's going to give handball. I think against Newcastle here. Yeah, from Joe Willock. It is handball. And there's a free kick to Nottingham Forest. More pressure for Newcastle to deal with after they've just conceded. Who knows? Alanga over this free kick. Eyes searching for the right target. Alanga headed away by Livramento. Murillo keeps it alive though. Williams wide. Gives White trying to find a way through, but well blocked off there by the fullbacks of Newcastle. Will be another throw in though to Nottingham Forest. They keep the ball in the final third. Murillo's ball in. Up in the air. Away by Livramento, and Isak trying to help out as the ball flicked round the corner by Dominguez. Out to Hudson-Odoi. Into Ina's path. Dribbling through a few. Goes down, wanting a foul. Not going to get it. And the sliding challenge from Gibbs White leaves the space here for Willock. Charging away, but Anderson there on the cover will get the free kick as he was brought down there by Joe Willock. Again, it's much more physical from Nottingham Forest. Much better intensity in their play. Such better play on the ball. Murillo. Infield now. Alanga. Shoved off the ball by Guimaraes. Instant free kick to Nottingham Forest. I think the whole game has just flipped on its head in this second half. Newcastle far and beyond in the first, and so far in the second. Forest the better side, have a goal back and want to conjure up what would be an unbelievable comeback. Murillo's ball into the box. Away as the ball falls to Elliot Anderson, whose shot deflected and caught by Nick Pope, but Forest are adamant there was a handball in there. Gotta see a replay. Murillo's ball headed away by Byrne, falls to Anderson, who strikes and comes off the arm of Miley. Given away again though in the box. Alanga keeps it alive. They're all over the place at the minute. Newcastle in the strike. Hit wide by Anderson. They wanted that handball call. It was certainly not handball against Lewis Smiley. We see this one. They gave the ball away again cheaply. Just far too lazy. Really lazy on the ball so far in the second half, Newcastle. Just waiting for the ball to come to them. And it's just really proactive pressing from Nottingham Forest point of view. Incredible stuff. Pressing the ball, breaking into space, and getting the opportunities in the right areas. Overloading the attack. As they're going to make a change, I believe, here. Newcastle. I think they're going to make a double change, actually. Harvey Barnes and Sandro Tonali are going to be coming on and replacing Joe Willock and Jacob Murphy, I believe. So Murphy and Willock off, and Tonali and Barnes on. Harvey Barnes, who's got the third goal for Newcastle in the reverse fixture. Just over 20 minutes to go. Newcastle 4, Nottingham Forest 2. A proper thriller on a high-scoring contest as Ola Aina here committing another foul. Another free kick for Newcastle. Lewis Hall making the claim that it should be a yellow card, but the referee arguing the contrary, saying it's not a yellow card. He's a bit late on that one, Ola Aina. I think the jump from Anthony Gordon makes it a little bit more theatrical than it needed to be. Really on that occasion. Free kick now for Newcastle. Lewis Hall to take. Goes short to Tonali. Will swing it round the back, but far too much on it to get anywhere near a teammate. And Tonali's ball goes for a goal kick to Nottingham Forest. Tonali does well to bring the ball down in midfield. Flick on header by Hall. Headed away by Aina, brought down by Hall again, and now Tonali. Dominguez in there with a challenge. Newcastle throw. Long throw by Hall. And a link up with Isak. Given away again cheaply was Guimaraes, and Forest with the ball again. They get another one. We really are on for a grandstand finish, but at the minute Newcastle still have that 2-goal cushion. But you'd feel that Nottingham Forest have had the momentum in this second half so far. Anderson. Back to Milinkovic. Goes out wide, chipping it over the top, but not anywhere near Hudson-Odoi. And Miley linking up to break it away. And now Guimaraes couldn't find the through ball to Isak. That was a nice idea. It was the right move, but not the great execution in the end, and Forest can recover the ball. Murillo's long ball. Hudson-Odoi made the run. Second ball is Wood. Lays it off to Aina. Bodies in the box for Forest. Ola Aina looks to curl it round the corner. Too much for anyone to get on the end of. Nick Pope was in the vicinity as well on that occasion. Again, there's certainly a lot more positivity about Nottingham Forest in this second half. You know, we compare their first half to second half. They had 5 shots in the whole of the first half. They've had 6 in the second half. In terms of their XG, 0.25 in the first half compared to 1.25 in the second so far. They didn't create a big chance in the first. They've created already 2 big chances in the second. And compare that to Newcastle, who had 10 shots, 4 big chances, and an XG of 2.92 in the first half. Compare that to the second half, where they've had 1 shot, 0 big chances, and an XG of 0.07. If you haven't figured out that the tables have turned, then there's your example, and there's your full explanation. In terms of the stats, a complete switch around. Although that's a very well won challenge by Lewis Hall. Battling and winning the free kick off Nicholas Dominguez. Certainly a foul, and it's going to be a yellow card as well for the Nottingham Forest midfielder. Nottingham Forest readying some substitutes in a moment. We'll see what those subs are going to be in a minute. Forced through ball. Well defended by Newcastle. Gordon not given any time or space there from Elliot Anderson. Out for a Newcastle throw. Newcastle have been much more sloppy in the second half. Haven't really been able to get forward at all so far in this second half. I don't think Isak has had a touch in the opposition half yet in the second 45. So they have really struggled to get the ball up the field and towards their main man at the minute, Newcastle. But from a Nottingham Forest point of view, really that 11-12 minute spell in the first half was the beating of them today. When they were completely all over the place. They were absolutely awful. And Newcastle were just clinical in those moments and made them count. The chances that Forest were giving them. And that's what's taken this game away from them today. But they get the next goal quickly. You never know. As they're going to make a double substitution here. Dominguez is coming off. He's going to be replaced by Ibrahim Sangare. And Ryan Yates is also going to be coming on. And Elliot Anderson is coming off. So Anderson and Dominguez off, and Sangare and Yates on for Nottingham Forest. Some midfield changes to keep the control in that midfield for them that they have had in the second half. Aina down the right hand side with that long throw. Didn't get very far, but Yates tried to feed it into the path of Wood again, but Newcastle in the way with that one. Isak spinning into trouble as Gibbs White gives it back to Aina. Couldn't find again the pass, a bit misplaced, and Bruno Guimaraes determined and certain that was a throw into Newcastle, but the officials disagree. And a throw into Nottingham Forest is given. 13 minutes of normal time to go. There was more than enough time for Newcastle to score 4 goals in the first half, so there's more than enough time for Forest to get 2 goals to level this game in the second. Oh, Livramento riding a few dangerous moments, and he gives the ball away. Doesn't want to make the pass. And now Nottingham Forest in the box. Alanga brought down. The ball was timed to perfection, that challenge by Lewis Hall. Again, it looked a bit awkward from Livramento. I don't know where he's going. I don't think he knows where he's going. And well, one back by Alanga. Finds Hudson-Odoi, who returns the ball to Alanga. And the challenge timed to perfection by Lewis Hall to put it out for the corner. Whipped in, and the header! Oh, headed wide by Murillo. My goodness me. That was some header. See this again. Out swinging corner. Whipped in and just gets a bullet header on it. Clean header. Murillo. If that was on target, that would have been a certain goal. He just headed it wide of the right post. Massive chance. That be the big chance that Forest needed to really give them a late push in this game. Yates wins the header in midfield, brought down by Gibbs White on the turn. And to feed it down the left flank for Williams, but gives it away. And now a bit of space here for Harvey Barnes. Drive it in field, finds Isak. Barnes again. Closed down well at the last ditch, and Guimaraes goes over. No foul, says the referee, and Forest on the move. Gibbs White couldn't hold on to the ball. It's a real tussle and a real horrible battle at the moment. Challenges flying in everywhere. Sangare gets it to Aina, looking for the run of Chris Wood. Too high, and Livramento will head it back to Nick Pope, who will comfortably take his time. Just over 10 minutes of the game, of normal time, shall I say, to go. No doubting Forest have been the better team in the second half. Newcastle have been barely in the game. But what was the difference between first and second half, that this game literally swung from one way to the complete opposite direction in a 15-minute spell? But in the end, the damage was done, it seems, in that 11-minute spell for Newcastle in that first half. And that was really, as I said, what took this game away from Forest, and maybe just too high of a mountain to climb. As Guimaraes takes this free kick for Newcastle. Headed away by Sangare. Head tennis in the midfield as Hall finds it a contested ball up to the midfield, as Murillo gives it away cheaply there, trying to find Alanga. And the free kick given against Anthony Alanga as he shoved Tino Livramento there in that challenge. Yeah, there's no attempt to win the ball there from Anthony Alanga. Just completely shoulder barges Tino Livramento to the ground. No doubting that's a free kick. Guimaraes to fizz one forward. Switches out to that left side. Isak with the deftest of touches. But he's offside. Beautiful touch. Would have been perfect if he'd kept himself onside there. Alexander Isak. Remember, he's on a hat-trick. Scored 2 in 2 minutes in the first half. Gordon down the left channel, finding Isak's run. Up against Ola Aina. Isak gives it back to Guimaraes. Cross now to Lewis Miley, who feeds it out to Barnes. Harvey Barnes on the left, blocked. And cleared away by Forest. Retrieved well by Byrne. Share. Into Miley. Does well to get it back to Fabian Share. Just starting to manage the game a little bit more now, Newcastle, and keeping the ball a little bit better. Basically all they've really needed to do in the second half is manage the game. Here is Miley, breaking away. Lovely little combination there to keep the ball. Gordon. On the left side, comes back in field with the turn. Oh, skips away from a challenge. Gordon trying to find the run of Guimaraes. Does so, but the through ball closed off by Aina, but he won it back, did Isak. Isak in the box, closed off by Aina again. He was clipped in his own box, and a free kick to Nottingham Forest. A little bit of disdain from the crowd and frustration from the home players, because they felt that there were one or two challenges from Forest that went unpunished, but slightest of touches from them on an opponent sees the free kick given. A little bit of disdain there from the referee's decision making, but here is Hudson-Odoi linking up with Yates down the right side. Yates basically at the corner flag, does win a throw in there for Nottingham Forest off Bruno Guimaraes. He got back there and made it count, made himself known to the Nottingham Forest team. Reminder for you, don't forget 4:30 we're at the Etihad. City against Liverpool is the 4:30 kickoff, as the league leaders look to go 11 points clear. We will see if they can do that a little later on. Long throw here for Nottingham Forest. They're going to come back. They need to find a goal in the next minute or two. Aina with the ball in. Long throw. Pope couldn't commit, as the ball is cleared away though from the box. Murillo with a little bit of dribbling, finding Aina. Chops onto his left. Flicks it across. Header on, and headed wide by Milenkovic. Just like his teammate and his centre-back partner, he heads the ball wide of the right post. Two big headers for Nottingham Forest, both going wide, and that is the difference, surely. Surely the difference. As Callum Wilson is getting ready to come on here for Newcastle. Well, Newcastle's next game, they head to Anfield next in midweek on Wednesday night. Liverpool against Newcastle is our game this midweek on Wednesday night, before they then host Brighton in the FA Cup here on Sunday, next Sunday. Nottingham Forest, they host Arsenal in midweek. That's a big game for Arsenal. That's on Wednesday evening as well, before they host Ipswich in the FA Cup at the weekend. Change incoming then for Newcastle. It's not going to be a hat-trick for Alexander Isak today, but a brace is more than enough for the league's joint second highest scorer this season, and he's replaced by Callum Wilson. 19 Premier League goals for Isak, 2 of them coming today, has him massively in the mix for that golden boot race. And he's not going to be taken out of that second spot today, because no Erling Haaland in the Man City squad today, so no damage will be done to that, as Hudson-Odoi's cross all the way through and out the other ends. Again, it's a sneaky free kick. Hudson-Odoi was wide. Lovely little free kick right down the right hand side for Hudson-Odoi. He whips one in. He cannot do any more with that cross. All they're waiting for is a touch, and it cannot be found by Forest. They have had ample opportunity to get back into this game in the second half, but haven't been able to find the back of the nets more than once. And that's the issue at the minute. As I said, Was it just too high of a mountain for them to climb in this second half? It's handball given there against Ryan Yates, and a free kick to Newcastle United. Well, this looks like it will be Newcastle's third victory of the season against Forest in all competitions. Doing the double over them in the league and beating them in the League Cup way early in the season. And that turned out to be crucial, winning on penalties on that occasion. That's what started their run to the final, where they will be facing Liverpool in about 3 weeks' time. Murillo gripping Wilson out of the way. Plays a long ball in behind, but well seen out by Dan Burn there. Throw into Forest. Elanga. All the way back it comes to Murillo again. Down the left side it goes. Infield, now Elanga on the turn. Try to go across. Again blocked by Newcastle and cleared away. Just out for the throw. Still time. Gibbs-White lifts one into the box. Too high. Oh, almost catching Nick Pope. Caught off his line there and he had to punch it over the bar to the Newcastle keeper. Expecting the header, Pope. Expecting. And miscued the fly to the ball and almost got caught out there to the Newcastle goalkeeper. Will be a Forest corner. Last minute of the 90. Flicked on the near post, not cleared away. Off the line, the follow-up is in by Ryan Yates. Maybe, just maybe, it's not over yet, as Nottingham Forest have another one back. The corner whipped in, not cleared away at the front post by Newcastle. It's kept alive. Gibbs-White strikes it. It comes off Fabian Schär right into the path of Ryan Yates, who finds the net past Nick Pope. And they've got another one back. I said it's not over yet. Maybe it isn't. 4-3. And we will have 3 added minutes. I think Nuno Espirito Santo may be arguing there should be more than 3 added minutes. But that's the time that's been added on. Can Nottingham Forest pull off an unbelievable comeback late here at St James's Park? Murillo. Out wide. Williams making the run down the left flank. Barnes in his way. Miley at 2. Plays it on to Gibbs-White now. Gibbs-White with a chip ball across. Yates. Header well off target. They wanted something here, Forest. Yates felt that he was fouled. Referee's just given a goal kick. Gordon's down. See this again. Gibbs-White's ball across and Yates kind of shoved into by Gordon. I mean, is there enough in that for a penalty? I mean, it might have been a bit of a domino effect. Aina maybe shoved Gordon and then he fell into Ryan Yates rather than anything else, and it is just a goal kick, no foul. 2 minutes of the 3 added, or 2 minutes and 3 added played, sorry. 1 to go, and Yates given a yellow card for a bit of dissent there in feeling that he should have got a penalty. They have maybe one last chance now, Nottingham Forest, in this game. Newcastle want to make a substitution. They might have had a chance to wrap it up with a fifth here because Callum Wilson's broke in behind. Well blocked again. Murillo. Aina pumping one forward. Too high for Gibbs White, and it will go out for a Newcastle throw. And I think they will now be able to make that change for Newcastle. Throw in is coming. I think they're going to hold their horses on that substitution. Is there time for one last chance? Elanga with a flick on header. Wood follows it up. Elanga again trying to find himself in space. Cleared away. 3 minutes are up. How long is left for to be played? Can Nottingham Forest get one more chance? The referee still playing. Murillo on the spin. Again, everybody back for Newcastle. They need to get the ball forward, Forest. Aina into the left channel. Taken down by Gibbs White. The ball across the box. Wood can't really get it on the end of it, and it's thumped away by Miley. The shot from distance from Aina is well charged down, but they're still playing. Forest are throwing everything at it. Just not getting in the box. There's a real scramble. As the ball again cleared away. And now Newcastle might have a break on themselves. Wilson on his own, one-on-one with Murillo. Trying to finish it at the square ball. And there is the final whistle. It was, in the end, a mountain too high for Nottingham Forest to climb in the second half. The damage was done in the first half when they conceded 4 goals in 12 minutes. Newcastle took the game well beyond them. Albeit the second half they were much the better team, Forest. They got 2 goals, and that 90th minute goal for the third made it tasty to the end. But Newcastle hold on to claim all 3 points in a 7-goal thriller at St James's Park. Final score, Newcastle 4, Nottingham Forest 3. Wow, incredible. What a finish at St James's Park. 4-3. Certainly the best game of the weekend so far in terms of goal scoring quality. And let's hope that that's just the warm-up, because we've got another one coming a little, very shortly actually, about a half an hour away, as we head to the Etihad as Manchester City take on Liverpool, 2 of the top 4, facing off at the Etihad as Liverpool look to make it 11 points the gap at the top if they can win a little later on. Join us for that one. But Nottingham Forest, they kept it tasty to the end, but Newcastle win out in a 7-goal thriller.